Joanne, what are some of the topics that we need to include in the environmental studies, especially in the university, for the students to appreciate what environment is all about in Kenya?
Okay, so environment at large involves the trees, the plants I mean, the animals, that is wildlife. So the topics you can say is more of environmental conservation, that is how water can be taken care of, how environment can be degraded. So topics can be forestry, water,
Yes,
water conservation,
yes.
and we have let me say the biodiversity conservation.
Biodiversity, that is the plants of all types.
Yeah.
Where does GMO come into the environmental protection in the university where you go to take your studies? GMOs are genetically modified plants which can actually produce some genes which would interact with the trees that are, for example, the indigenous, and when they come in, they are able to pollute whatever is supposed to be generally pure, and it is normally crossed into something else. Because genetically modified plants are for a purpose of taking care of a particular gene that is in those plants, either to protect them from the insects or any pests or any diseases that could be there. But when it comes to the genetically modified plants in Kenya, we fear that the environment might be degraded. We want to conserve our environment in such a way that it will keep pure, and we shall maintain whatever is there with an improvement, not with a degradation. And the water is one of the things that we can look at in the environment, because when we want to have more water, we need to look at water harvesting from the roofs of plants, so that we don't get all the water that runs down into the Indian Ocean. Joanne, talk a little bit about water conservation and how we can best use water in the environment.
Okay, and just to add on that, water, like we are going to talk about the water towers, which forest act as one of the water catchment areas, and we need, as human beings, we need to take care of those water catchment areas. So there should be continuous flow of water throughout the forest. This water sustains the animals within the forest.
Yes.
And also the plants themselves.
Yes.
They take that water.
Yes.
And for us, we also gain. So it's upon us.
Yes.
It's our responsibility to take care of rivers or water catchment areas.
Yes.
For continuous flow of clean waters.
Very good. That is wonderful. And we can see what has been happening in Mau Forest. There has been some nature walks to raise funds to protect those trees, like the forests, like the Abadeas and also the Mau. And there are so many other forests in Kenya. Like we can also talk about the ranches and how they get degraded when the animals do not have enough grass to eat during the drought. We have to conserve water so that it runs through some of these grazing fields. What can you say about the chemicals that people use in their farms that would sometimes run into the rivers?
The chemicals, and the environment, we categorize them as the persistent organic pollutants. So they pollute environment. And since they take time, like the chemicals, they take time for them to be degraded.
Yes.
So it pollutes the environment. When during rains, when they are washed into the river, they pollute the water, which may cause death of animals, like aquatic animals in the water.
Yes.
And also that water is not good for human consumption. So that's why you should at least avoid the chemicals used in the farms, or rather adopt like organic fertilizers.
Organic fertilizers, as opposed to the persistent degraders, those pesticides that persist for long in the environment before they can easily be biodegraded. So what can we talk about the action that Kenya has taken to take the plastic wastes out of our environment? Is it a good thing, or is it something that needs to be copied by other countries?
That option I can easily recommend, and I will actually recommend it 100%.
100%.
Plastics
Yes.
are non-biodegradable.
Yes.
In other terms,
Yes.
they can't be broken down at any point. So they will pollute the environment. So it's a good time,
Yes.
or it's a good thing to eliminate the plastic bags.
Yes.
Plastic things.
Completely and absolutely, you are right. And we have to move from the dirty environment into clean environment by removing all those elements that we don't need to get into contact with. And where the children are playing in the fields, they don't need to play with cans or empty containers after the pesticides have been used. We need to conserve and keep our environment clean. Thank you, Joanne, and I'm sure we can do another video clip so that we can educate people on the better use of the facilities that we have to keep our environment clean. God